couldn't feel my fingers anymore. That was the first sign we were in real trouble. The phone in my hand showed nothing. No bars, no signal, just a black screen that might as well have been a brick. Snow kept hitting the windows so hard it sounded like someone throwing rocks at the glass. I pressed my face against the cold pane and couldn't see anything past the white wall outside. Not the trees, not the road, not even the shed that I knew was maybe 20 feet away. This wasn't supposed to happen, I said out loud, mostly to myself. Jenna appeared beside me, wrapping her arms around herself. What wasn't supposed to happen? Any of this. We should be home right now. You should be complaining about your neighbor's loud music, and I should be ordering pizza. She tried to smile, but I could see her shivering. We'd been friends since college, 8 years of knowing each other inside and out. I'd seen her happy, sad, angry, drunk, sick, but I'd never seen her look scared like this before. The generator just died, she said quietly. I heard it shut off a few minutes ago. My stomach dropped. Are you sure? Pretty sure. Listen. We both went silent. The usual hum that had been in the background since we got here was gone. Now there was only the wind screaming outside and the creaking of wood under pressure. How cold is it? I asked. Jenna walked to the wall where an old thermometer hung next to a faded picture of her grandparents. Outside? -10. Inside we're at 42 degrees. And dropping. I'd grown up in Washington State. I knew what cold like this could do. People died in weather like this. Not dramatic deaths like in movies, just quiet, sleepy deaths where you stopped feeling cold and started feeling warm, and then you never woke up. We have firewood, right? I tried to keep my voice steady. She shook her head. It's all in the shed. My dad always kept it outside to keep bugs away from the cabin. We could make a run for it. 20 feet isn't that far. In this, Jenna pointed at the window. We wouldn't even know which direction to go. We'd get lost before we found the door handle. She was right. I'd been in snowstorms before, but nothing like this. This was the kind of storm that made the news, the kind where they found people frozen in their cars just feet from their houses because they couldn't see where they were going. That's when I noticed something that made my throat tight. Jenna, look at the ceiling. A dark stain was spreading across the white paint in the far corner. As we watched, it got bigger, creeping out like spilled ink. And then I heard it, a steady drip, drip, drip. No, Jenna whispered. Please, no. We both moved toward the corner. The stain was right above the old couch her grandfather had built by hand. Water, or melted snow, was coming through, and every drop that hit the floor felt like a countdown to something worse. The roof must be damaged, I said. Snow's getting in. Jenna reached up and touched the wall below the stain. When she pulled her hand back, her fingers were wet and red from the cold. If snow gets inside and we can't heat this place. She didn't finish, but she didn't need to. I knew exactly what she meant. 3 days ago, this had all seemed so simple. Jenna had called me on a Wednesday night while I was sitting in my apartment trying to figure out why my latest architecture project felt so wrong. Hey, she'd said, I need a huge favor. Name it. I need to winterize my family's cabin before the first big storm hits. My dad usually does it, but he's recovering from surgery. Would you help me? I'll buy you dinner for a week. I should have checked the weather forecast more carefully. Should have asked more questions. Should have done a lot of things differently. But the truth was, I jumped at the chance to spend time with her. Just the two of us, away from our usual group of friends, away from the city. Sure, I told her. When do you want to go? Tomorrow morning? We'll be back before dark. It's just covering furniture, shutting off water, basic stuff. Now here we were, trapped and freezing, with night coming fast and no way out. A loud crack echoed through the cabin, and we both jumped. The sound came from above us, from the roof, and it was followed by a groan of wood bending under too much weight. We need to move, I said, grabbing Jenna's arm. Now. Move where? I looked around the cabin, thinking fast. The bedroom at the end of the hall. No windows. The walls will hold heat better. We started grabbing things. Blankets from the closet. Candles from the kitchen drawer. Matches. a flashlight that barely worked, bottles of water that hadn't frozen yet, a jar of peanut butter and some crackers that had been in the cabinet since last summer. The bedroom was tiny, barely big enough for the narrow bed and a small dresser. But Jenna was right. It felt warmer here, away from the windows and the wind. I lit one of the candles and set it carefully on the dresser. The tiny flame made the shadows jump and dance on the walls. We piled all the blankets on the bed, and I tried not to think about how we were going to share that small space. "How long do you think the storm will last?" Jenna asked. I pulled out my phone even though I knew it was useless. "No idea. Could be hours. Could be all night. My dad will send help when we don't come back." "Your dad just had surgery. He probably thinks we decided to stay an extra day." Jenna sat down on the edge of the bed. In the candlelight, I could see goosebumps on her arms. Her lips were starting to look pale. "So we're really stuck here?" "Yeah, we really are." Another crack split the air, louder this time. The whole cabin shook, and Jenna grabbed my hand without thinking. Her fingers were ice cold. "What was that?" she asked. I didn't want to tell her, but lying wouldn't help. "I think more of the roof is giving way. The snow's too heavy." We sat there in silence, listening to the wind howl and the wood creak and the steady drip of water somewhere in the main room. Jenna hadn't let go of my hand. "Tyler," she said softly. "I'm scared." It was the first time either of us had said it out loud, and hearing her admit it made my own fear feel more real. "Me too," I told her. "But we're going to figure this out. We just need to stay warm and wait for the storm to pass." She looked at me, and something in her eyes made my heart beat faster. "How do we stay warm with no heat?" I knew the answer. I'd taken enough survival courses in college to know exactly what we needed to do, but saying it out loud felt impossible. "Body heat," I finally managed. "We need to share body heat." The temperature kept dropping. I could see my breath now, little clouds forming every time I exhaled. Jenna was shivering so hard her teeth chattered, and no amount of blankets seemed to help when we were just sitting next to each other. "This isn't working," she said. "I'm still freezing." I was freezing too, but admitting it felt like giving up. "Give it a few more minutes." "Tyler, we don't have a few more minutes. I can't feel my toes." She was right. We'd been in the bedroom for maybe half an hour, and it was getting colder by the second. The candle flame barely moved. The air was that still and that cold. "Okay," I said. "We need to do this properly. Lie down and get under all the blankets." Jenna stretched out on the bed, on her side facing the wall. I could see her whole body trembling. I lay down behind her, leaving maybe 6 inches of space between us, and pulled the blankets over both of us. For a minute, nothing changed. We were still cold, still shaking, still breathing out visible clouds of air. "Closer," Jenna said. "You need to be closer." I moved forward until my chest was against her back, until I could feel every shiver that ran through her. I put my arm around her waist, and she grabbed my hand, holding it tight. The effect was immediate. I could feel warmth starting to build between us, like we were creating our own small pocket of heat under the blankets. Jenna's shivering started to slow down. "Better?" I asked. "Much better." We lay there quietly, listening to the storm rage outside. This close, I could smell her shampoo, something citrus that reminded me of summer. I could feel her heartbeat through her back, fast at first, then gradually slowing. "Tell me something," Jenna said after a while. "Tell me about that building you're trying to save." I knew what she was doing, trying to keep us both distracted, trying to make this feel normal when nothing about it was normal. "It's an old theater downtown," I said, "built in the 1930s. The owners want to tear it down and put up condos. But you don't want them to. The ceiling has these incredible carvings, flowers and birds and faces hidden in the patterns. Someone spent months doing that work by hand, maybe years, and they want to cover it with drywall." Jenna shifted slightly, fitting herself more comfortably against me. "So what are you doing about it?" "Trying to convince them it's worth saving. Showing them old photos of what it looked like when it first opened. finding articles about how special it was. Will it work? I don't know. Maybe. If I can make them see what I see. Which is what? I thought about that. That some things are worth saving. Even when it's hard. Even when it would be easier to just tear them down and start over. Jenna was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Is that what you see when you look at me?" The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? Something worth saving. You're not broken, Jenna. You don't need saving. Then what am I? I took a breath, choosing my words carefully. You're my best friend. The person I call when something good happens. The person who showed up at my apartment at 2 in the morning when I got food poisoning and needed someone to drive me to the hospital. That's what friends do. I know, but you're more than that. You're... I stopped. I couldn't finish the sentence. Couldn't say what I was really thinking. I'm what? Jenna asked softly. Another crack echoed through the cabin, saving me from having to answer. This one was different, sharper, closer. We both tensed. That sounded bad, Jenna whispered. Stay here. I'll check. I started to get up, but she grabbed my arm. Don't leave me alone. I'll just be a minute. Please. There was something in her voice that made me stop. Not just fear, something deeper. Something that made my chest feel tight. Okay, I said. I won't leave. We lay there in the dark, waiting. The creaking sounds continued, sometimes loud, sometimes soft. Each one made us hold our breath. Tyler, Jenna said quietly, can I ask you something? Sure. Why have you been avoiding me? My heart started pounding. I haven't been avoiding you. Yes, you have. For the last few months. You always have an excuse why you can't hang out. You leave early when the whole group gets together. You barely text me back. I've been busy with work. That's not it. She turned over so we were face to face, just inches apart in the candlelight. Tell me the truth. Did I do something wrong? Looking at her this close, I couldn't lie anymore. Couldn't keep pretending. You didn't do anything wrong, I said. It's me. I'm the problem. What does that mean? It means I can't keep being your friend the way I used to be. She looked hurt. Why not? Because somewhere along the way it stopped being enough. And I couldn't tell you that. So I pulled away instead. Jenna stared at me, her eyes wide. Stopped being enough how? I could have backtracked. Could have made something up. But we were trapped in a freezing cabin with a collapsing roof. And I was tired of running from the truth. I have feelings for you, Jenna. Real feelings. The kind that make it hard to breathe when you're around. The kind that made me say yes to this trip even though I knew I should keep my distance. The words hung between us in the cold air. Jenna didn't move, didn't speak. I waited for her to pull away, to tell me this was a mistake, to ruin 8 years of friendship with one honest confession. Instead, she said, "How long?" "About a year, maybe longer. I don't know exactly when it happened." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was terrified of losing you. I'd rather have you as a friend than not have you at all." Jenna reached up and touched my face, her cold fingers gentle against my skin. "You idiot." "I know."
I'm sorry.
"No, you don't understand." She moved closer, and I could feel her breath on my lips. I felt it too. "I've been waiting for you to say something for months." My brain stopped working. What? I thought I was going crazy. Thought I was reading things that weren't there. Every time we hung out, I'd wonder if maybe you felt it too. And then you started pulling away, and I figured I'd imagine the whole thing. You didn't imagine it. Neither did you. The wind slammed against the cabin, making the walls shake. The candle flame flickered wildly, but neither of us moved. "What do we do now?" I asked. Jenna smiled, and even in the dim light, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. "I think you know." She kissed me, and everything else disappeared. The cold, the storm, the danger we were in, none of it mattered. 8 years of friendship transformed into something deeper, something I'd been too scared to name. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. "We can't go back from this," I said. "I don't want to go back." The kiss lasted forever and ended too soon. When Jenna pulled back, Her eyes were searching mine for something. Regret, maybe, or second thoughts. She wouldn't find either. Say something, she whispered. I don't know what to say. I've imagined this 1,000 times, but I never thought it would actually happen. She laughed softly. You imagined kissing me? More than I should probably admit. Good, because I imagined it too. We stayed close, foreheads touching, breathing the same air. The cold was still there, pressing in from all sides, but it felt distant now, less important. This complicates things, Jenna said. Does it have to? We've been friends for 8 years, Tyler. Our whole group knows us as the duo who've never crossed that line. What happens when we tell them? I hadn't thought that far ahead. Hadn't thought past this moment, this feeling. Maybe some of them already know. Know what? That we were heading here eventually. People aren't blind. Jenna shifted, propping herself up on one elbow. My roommate asked me last month if we were dating. When I said no, she looked at me like I was lying. What did you tell her? That we were just friends. But I don't think she believed me. Jenna traced a pattern on the blanket with her finger. Maybe she saw something I was trying to hide. A loud groan came from somewhere above us, followed by a series of smaller creaks. We both froze, listening. The cabin was still standing, but it sounded angry about it. How much longer do you think we have? Jenna asked. Before what? Before the roof caves in or before the storm stops? Either. Both. I checked my watch. The hands glowed faintly in the darkness. It's almost 8. Storm could last all night. Maybe longer. And the roof? I don't know. Could hold until morning. Could give out in the next hour. Jenna nodded slowly, taking that in. So we might die here. We're not going to die here. You can't promise that. She was right. Couldn't. But I also couldn't let her spiral into panic. What I can promise is that if something happens, we're together. You're not facing this alone. Is that supposed to make me feel better? A little bit, yeah. She smiled despite herself. You're terrible at this. At what? At being comforting during a crisis. I'm an architect, not a therapist. I'm better with buildings than emotions. Jenna's smile faded. Tell me about the first building you ever designed. Not the theater you're trying to save, the first one that was completely yours. I understood what she was doing, keeping us talking, keeping our minds occupied so fear couldn't take over. It was a treehouse. A treehouse. I was 12. My dad said if I wanted one, I had to design it myself. So I spent 2 months drawing plans, figuring out weight distribution, choosing materials. He helped me build it, but the design was all mine. Do your parents still have it? The treehouse? No. We moved when I was in high school. New owners probably tore it down. I pulled the blankets tighter around us. But I have the original drawings in a box somewhere. Terrible handwriting, measurements that make no sense. But I was so proud of it. That's when you knew that you wanted to be an architect. That's when I knew I wanted to create spaces where people felt safe, where they belonged. I looked at her, kind of like how I feel right now. Jenna's breath caught. In a freezing cabin with a collapsing roof? With you. That's the part that matters. She kissed me again, slower this time. Her hands were still cold, but her lips were warm. When we broke apart, she was crying. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing's wrong. That's the problem. This feels too right, like we've wasted so much time being scared. We're not wasting any more time. Promise. Promise. The candle on the dresser sputtered, the flame dancing wildly before steadying again. We were running out of light, running out of warmth, but neither of us seemed to care anymore. Tell me what happens next, Jenna said. After we get out of here, what's the first thing you want to do? Besides take a hot shower? Besides that, I thought about it. I want to take you to that Italian place on 5th Street. The one with the checkered tablecloths and the owner who sings opera. That's a date restaurant. I know. You're asking me on a date? I'm asking you on every date. All of them, starting with that one. Jenna buried her face against my chest, and I felt her shoulders shake. For a second I thought she was crying again. But she was laughing. We're trapped in a life-threatening situation, and you're planning our first date. Would you rather I panic? No. This is perfect. Completely ridiculous, but perfect. We lay there holding each other, and I tried to memorize everything about this moment. The weight of her in my arms, the sound of her breathing, the way she fit against me like we were two pieces of the same puzzle. Tyler. Yeah. If we don't make it, don't. Let me finish. If we don't make it, I want you to know that this was worth it. Being here with you, finally being honest about how I feel. It was worth all of it. My throat felt tight. We're making it out. Both of us. And then we're going to that restaurant, and you're going to complain that the pasta is overpriced, and I'm going to order too much wine, and it's going to be perfect. You think you know me so well. I do know you. That's the whole point. Another crack echoed through the cabin, but this time it was followed by a different sound. A distant rumble that grew steadily louder. At first I thought it was thunder, but thunder didn't sound like that. Didn't have that mechanical edge. Jenna sat up straight. What is that? I listened harder, not daring to hope. Engines. That's engines. Are you sure? Listen. We both went silent, straining to hear over the wind. There it was again, definitely engines. Multiple engines getting closer. Someone's coming, Jenna said, her voice rising with hope. Someone's actually coming. I scrambled out of bed and grabbed the flashlight. It was weak, but it was something. We need to signal them. Let them know we're here. We rushed down the hall to the main room. Snow had piled high through the hole in the ceiling, creating a white mountain in the corner. The temperature out here was brutal, had to be below freezing now. Through the window, I could see lights cutting through the darkness. Snowmobiles. 3 of them, their headlights bouncing as they pushed through the deep snow. I started waving the flashlight, making big sweeping motions. Jenna found another flashlight in a drawer and did the same. The snowmobiles changed direction, heading straight for us. They see us, Jenna breathed. Oh my God. They see us. 5 minutes later, we heard knocking on the door. I yanked it open to find 3 people in heavy winter gear, their faces barely visible behind goggles and scarves. Are you two okay? A woman's voice asked. We got a call that someone might be stranded up here. We're cold, but we're fine, I said. How did you know we were here? Your friend's father. He called search and rescue when you didn't come back. We've been looking for 2 hours. Jenna started crying again, but this time from relief. The rescue team came inside, bringing thermal blankets and hot coffee from thermoses. They checked us over, asking questions about frostbite and how long we'd been without heat. You're lucky, one of them said. Another few hours in these conditions, and we might have been doing a very different kind of rescue. They helped us gather our things and led us outside to the snowmobiles. The storm had died down to light flurries, the worst of it having passed while we were inside. The world was white and silent and strangely beautiful. Jenna and I rode on the same snowmobile, her arms wrapped tight around my waist. As we pulled away from the cabin, I looked back and saw just how bad the damage was. A whole section of roof had caved in. We'd been minutes away from disaster, but we'd made it, together. The hospital lights were too bright after so many hours in darkness. A doctor checked us both, declaring us remarkably healthy considering what we'd been through. Minor frostbite on our fingers and toes, mild dehydration, but nothing serious. We'd gotten lucky. Jenna's father arrived while we were still being examined. He hugged his daughter so hard I thought he might crack her ribs, tears streaming down his face. Then he turned to me and shook my hand, gripping it like he might never let go. Thank you for keeping her safe, he said. She kept me safe too, I told him. He looked between us, and something flickered in his expression. Recognition, maybe, or understanding. I'm glad you had each other. They released us a few hours later with instructions to rest and stay warm. Jenna's father offered to drive me home, but Jenna grabbed my hand before I could answer. He's staying with me, she said, if that's okay. Her father raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. Get some rest. Both of you. We ended up at Jenna's apartment, a small place she shared with her roommate in Capitol Hill. The roommate was out for the weekend visiting family. The apartment was quiet and warm and felt like paradise after the cabin. "Shower first," Jenna said. "You smell like smoke and fear." "So do you." "I know. That's why I'm showering second." I stood under the hot water for 20 minutes, letting it warm me from the outside in. When I came out, wrapped in a towel Jenna had left for me, she was making tea in the kitchen. "Your turn," I said. She disappeared into the bathroom, and I heard the water start up again. I found some of my old clothes in her closet. A t-shirt and sweatpants I'd left here months ago during a movie night that had gone too late. When Jenna emerged, her hair wet and her face scrubbed clean, she looked more like herself, less like someone who'd just survived a near-death experience. "How are you feeling?" I asked. "Weird. Like I should be more traumatized than I am." "Give it time. The adrenaline is still wearing off." She sat down next to me on the couch, close enough that our legs touched. "Or maybe I'm okay because of what happened in that cabin. The almost dying part? The us part. The finally being honest part." I took her hand, threading my fingers through hers. "About that, I meant what I said. About the restaurant. About all of it. I know you did. That's what scares me." "Why does it scare you?" Jenna looked down at our joined hands. "Because what if this doesn't work? What if we try being together and it ruins everything? I can't lose you, Tyler. You're too important." "We're not going to ruin anything." "You can't know that." "You're right. I can't. But I know that not trying would be worse. Spending the rest of my life wondering what if that's what would ruin me." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Our friends are going to freak out." "Probably. And it's going to be awkward at first, figuring out how to be us in a different way." "Definitely. But you still want to try?" I pulled her closer until she was tucked against my side. "More than I've wanted anything in a long time." We sat there drinking tea and not talking, just being together. At some point I must have fallen asleep, because when I opened my eyes again, early light was filtering through the curtains. Jenna was asleep too, her head on my shoulder, breathing slow and steady. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out carefully, trying not to wake her. Messages from friends who'd heard about the rescue. Missed calls from my parents. A text from my boss asking if I was okay. And one message from someone I didn't recognize. I opened it. Saw the news about the cabin. "Glad you two made it out safe. Also glad you finally figured it out. Amanda." Amanda, Jenna's roommate. I smiled and typed back a quick thanks. Jenna stirred, blinking awake. "What time is it?" "A little after 7. "In the morning?" "Yeah, we slept through the night." She sat up, stretching. "I had the weirdest dream that we got trapped in a snowstorm and almost died." "That wasn't a dream." "I know. I was hoping though." She looked at me, and her expression softened. "But the part about us, that was real too, right?" "Very real." "Good, because I'm holding you to that dinner." Over the next few weeks, we figured out our new normal. Our friends reacted exactly how Jenna predicted. Some surprised, some claiming they'd known all along. Nobody seemed upset about it. If anything, they seemed relieved that we'd finally stopped dancing around each other. The hardest part was unlearning old habits. Remembering that I could kiss her hello now, that holding her hand wasn't crossing a line, that saying "I love you" didn't have to be followed by, as a friend. 3 months after the cabin, I took her to that Italian restaurant. The owner did sing opera, badly but enthusiastically. The pasta was overpriced. I ordered too much wine. It was perfect. "Tell me something," Jenna said over tiramisu. "If the storm hadn't happened, if we hadn't gotten trapped, would we have figured this out?" "Eventually. Maybe." "That's not very confident." "Okay, probably not. I was pretty good at lying to myself." "Me too." She reached across the table for my hand. "So I guess we owe that storm a thank you. For almost killing us? For making us stop running." 6 months after the storm, Jenna's father called to say he was planning to rebuild the cabin. Asked if I wanted to help with the design. I said yes on one condition, that I could make it stronger, better insulated, ready for anything. A year after the storm, I proposed to Jenna at the rebuilt cabin. It was summer this time, warm and green, nothing like that terrible night. But when I got down on one knee, I told her the same thing I told her in the darkness. You're my best friend, and you're more than that. You're the person I want to build a life with. Will you marry me? She said yes through happy tears, and I slipped the ring on her finger. Now, standing in our apartment 2 years after that night in the storm, I watch Jenna work at the kitchen table on her laptop. She's completely focused, and I'm completely content just watching her exist in our space. You're staring again, she says without looking up. Can't help it. She closes her laptop and takes off her reading glasses. Come here. I cross the room and she pulls me down for a kiss. Stay with me, she whispers. The same words she'd said that night. The same promise. Always, I tell her, and I mean it with everything I am.